in your own time.
Okay, good morning everyone. It's Marcus Prio again, back from Parent Community Engagement, or PaCE. And I guess I've just got with me today Bronwyn Murray, who's a lifelong Cherbourg resident, a mum and carer, and Michelle Forster, who does our Positive Parenting Program, or Triple P presenter. And she's a woman who has lived the Triple P story as well with her children. And it's all about positive engagement with your children and building stronger relationships and improving behaviour. And the reason we brought in the Triple P was because our job at PaCE is to, well, our term is to use build an education culture, so every parent sends every child to school every day on time. And I guess what that means is we just need parents to believe in their kids and to send them to school every day, because as the saying goes, while the roots of education can be bitter, the fruit is very sweet. And I think we've got some evidence here of two ladies who might be able to bring that out as well with their stories. So I guess initially, Michelle, you've come from Triple P, and do you want to just, I know you've told us before, but just remind us a little bit about your Triple P story?
Yeah, Marcus, I guess I came into contact with the Positive Parenting Program about 3 years ago now. I was, just thinking to myself, yeah, whatever, another parenting program, and didn't give it too much thought. I was trained in a family support role, so I had to actually go out and deliver this program. I didn't have a good understanding of it, so I just started to put into practice a few things with my own child, who was 8 years old at the time, and had very bad misbehaviours, was getting suspended from school, sometimes 5 days at a time, getting D's and E's on his report card. I started to put the Triple P into practice with him and started seeing some really big changes in his behaviour, and thought, well, hang on a minute, this could probably work. I'm seeing the changes. So really went at it and put the whole program into action and just changed our relationship. I was at a point where I didn't actually really like my son too much. His behaviours just really drove a wedge between us. But I guess it's about us as parents being role models and showing our children how to behave properly. So, yeah, he turned around, and I don't get phone calls from the school anymore at all. It took a couple of years for the change at school, but he now has gone from a DE student to getting A's and B's on his report card, which I think I told you when he brought that report card home at the end of last year, I had to check the front of it to see if it was his report card, and it brought tears to my eyes. Like, I couldn't believe that my son was getting A's and B's on his report card. But it all starts in the home. So
I guess, and with that, he would feel good about himself too, I'd imagine.
Definitely. The Positive Parenting Program is that it focuses on positives, a lot of positives. We tend to sort of focus on our kids' misbehaviours all the time, and we're always telling them they're naughty, you've done this, you've done that, but we don't seem to focus on all the positive stuff a lot of the time. So, yeah, it's definitely focusing on positives.
And if a child does feel better about themselves, I guess they're more inclined to behave and do the right thing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly it.
Yeah. Okay, now you've been coming out. This is about your fourth Triple P. Is that right? Give or take?
Probably, I think it's about the sixth.
Six could be, yeah. Time flies.
Out here at Cherbourg, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean, from our personal, the surveys we give to parents, they've all said they've had an improved relationship, or they've got a lot out of it, with their children. So, but comparing, because you travel around to quite a few areas delivering Triple P, what's the general response from parents? Do they see an improvement relationship with their children?
Yeah, definitely. I travel around Queensland delivering Triple P. I've got to say, I just want to add in here that I love coming out to Cherbourg because there's always a high attendance rate. I think I've had one dropout in all the parents that have come to Triple P, so there's always that high attendance rate, and then we always get the completion rate at being pretty much 100% every time, so that's really awesome. It makes me want to keep coming back. But yeah, definitely the parents go away. I always say I'd just be happy if you walk away with one little positive out of the whole program, to make that difference in your family, because it's about bringing our kids up healthy, happy and confident. to go out into their lives, their world, their workplace, the school, communities, all those environments, to be healthy and have healthy attitudes and grow up to be strong, deadly human beings. So,
and is there any one sort of is there a common denominator do you find with parents who are struggling with their children's behaviour, or is it just a real mixed bag?
What do you mean?
Well,
break that down for me.
Okay, all right. Well, do you hear a recurring thing, when parents talk about, oh, my child, he's naughty, and then you hear a recurring thing about, or get a feeling that, well, that's because the parent is, talks down to their children or so forth, or is it are there a whole heap of different issues that different parents have? If that's clear as mud.
Yeah, it is. There is a couple across the board, but probably I think, and it's something I certainly did too, was focus on the negatives in my child all the time. I was constantly telling him he was naughty, you done this, you done that, why can't you be good? Instead of, focusing on some of the little positive things that he was doing, like even tiny things, brushing his teeth without me telling him how deadly he was for doing that, and how, I really liked that, and encouraging those behaviours. I think that's one thing. I think the other thing too is that we don't realise we get into those escalation traps with our parents, and we lose control as a parent in getting our kids to start doing something when we ask them to. We tend to get into that argument. If our kids say no, they don't want to do it, then we start arguing with them, they argue back, and we end up in this big screaming match. I don't think we need to go down that track sometimes, and we don't realise, and I was definitely guilty of doing that before I started doing this program as well. So getting into those arguments and yelling and screaming and teaching our kids that's how you communicate.
So how do you avoid that? If your child says no, like you ask them to clean something and they say no, how would you avoid that?
You will have to come and do the program, Marcus. There's a bit more to it than just giving you one solution.
Well put. Okay, so that's fair enough. Well, someone who has done the program is Bronwyn Murray. She's a recent graduate as of today, and she's a mum and a carer and a lifelong resident of Cherbourg. So, Bronwyn, how did you find the Triple P with Michelle today?
I found the Triple P program very interesting and very useful for myself. I did it around about 5 to 7 years ago with community health, and in the meantime, because I was so busy working and stuff, and I sort of tossed it to the side and didn't apply any of that for a long while, except for just the time out. Using time out with my child is all I was using when bad behaviour started to creep in. But then this time around doing the Triple P has made me reflect more on the first Triple P that I did, and it's helped me now to refresh and reassure me and give me confirmation that I was doing, because a lot of things. Since I had my two nephews, which has been 14 months now, there is when I started to play a bit of the role of some of the Triple P things that's been said over the last couple of days. And it was reassurance for me as well to make sure that I was doing the right procedures as far as the discipline when I was sending them for time out. There was a couple of things missing that I needed to brush up on. But yesterday afternoon I went home and I applied some of the learnings and from some of the things from some of the key things that was missing, and I just seen improvements even overnight.
Wow. Yeah.
And the praise to give your child the praise after for something, like Michelle was saying before, for something so small is so meaning to the child, because I had them at the kitchen table last night arguing who was going to make the chocolate drink after we had tea, because but we already nominated someone to do that for starters. So And
She
they
was
all
saying
looking.
they couldn't get enough of the praise.
Yeah, they couldn't get enough of the praise, but
Yeah.
but at the same time, they're looking forward to see what the rewards are too. They indicated, what are we going to get? Are we going to get money? But I said, no, money's not going to be involved. Money only comes involved when it's a need. But when you're doing something good, and if I identify that and I see that in you and I give you a praise for it, then there'll be something as a reward, you know. So they starting to identify some of that now, and they picked up quickly. And two of them was actually saying, "Thank you, Mummy. Thank you you for doing this."
Well, I mean, I guess, and I've just been to the Clontarf Academy down Moree, and they do lots of rewards, and that's a football academy attached to the schools. And they were saying that, you know, a lot of that just consistency and behaviour, and they find that most kids actually understand that when you do the right thing, you make other people happy too, and that makes them feel good. You know, and it's just a win-win situation. And really, and they find it's not actually hard to do the right thing. You know, it's actually probably easier than doing the wrong thing generally. At the moment, for our listeners who have just tuned in, we're talking to Bronwyn Murray, lifelong Cherbourg resident, a mum and a carer, and we're talking to Michelle Forster, a positive parenting program presenter, or Triple P as it's known, and a woman who's lived the Triple P story and had great benefits as a result.
But you just actually highlighted something there. It's that consistency, and we talked a lot about that, and I always do in the programs. You have to be consistent. Kids love structure and consistency.
Yeah, so if you're doing it all the time, and you're making sure that your child is aware that this is not only just for today, this happens tomorrow, next week, next month, and it's going to be a continuous thing, then they know they got to stick to the program. They stick to the rules of the house. And
yeah, and Bronwyn, you were telling me before you had a very positive influence in your grandfather, your pop. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. And can you tell me a bit about that, his influence on you?
His influence on me was, he planted the seed with me when I was very young, especially for education now, and how important the education was for us to be educated and to reach our goals and to dream big and to go to the horizon, so that we create better pathways for ourselves and better living and better lifestyles, and living more safe, friendly, loving environments.
And there was at one point where you did think of dropping out of school, did for a bit, is that right?
Yeah, year 11, I dropped out for 3 weeks. He come to me and he said, you going to drop out? Nan tells me you're going to drop out. And I said, yep. And I thought he was going to come down on me like a ton of bricks, but he didn't. And he said, well, what's it all about? So I said to him, I don't understand. I don't understand the work. There's no one there to help me and support me through this. I'm failing in most of my subjects. I'm just losing interest in it. And back then we didn't have much access to like internet usage, whereas like a lot of that is within school. There's so much support within schools now. It's just I think it comes back to, once again, is the support, where your roots come from, is the support of your family, which is your parents and whoever are your older siblings, your older brothers and sisters. But I also think it comes back to just having a go too, as an individual, like you as a school, and don't let those barriers get in your way. Is another thing. There's a way or two around them. It's either jump over them or go around them. But it's talking to other people, looking at who your support people are in the mission, and so it's all of that. And we as a community can start supporting and acknowledging that and encouraging and looking after one another. And if we nurture that, we're going to end up with better results, you know.
And celebrating success.
Yeah, celebrating success.
Yeah.
And I think that's important, what you're identifying, your supports and having those role models. Like your granddad sounded like he was deadly support. And that's what I think, sorry to bring that back to this, but the program allows you to do is be, you know, really good role models for your kids and support them and teach them how to communicate and be deadly and grow up strong.
And not only for your kids, for all kids, really, I suppose, to a point, because there's a lot of community parenting, I guess.
And I guess the other support and the other mentor that I had, like, was Mum, because Mum really, she wouldn't allow me to do a lot, but she always said, time to get up and get ready for school, and I idolised Mum because, and I looked up to her because she was a working parent, a single working mum, you know, and that's why I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. But she showed me that path of career pathing, you know. So I was very lucky. I see that I was very lucky.
And so you went back, finished grade 12?
I ended up going back to school after 3 weeks, and I just said one day, because I was roaming this mission, just walking around visiting family, chilling out with Nan, watching Days of Our Lives at home on the couch and giving her therapy and stuff like that, and helping her clean and wash, and then that just got too boring for me, so I said, nah, it was me who turned the tables for myself. So
because
they
guess...
stood back and they just observed. But I think if it would have went on any longer than 3 weeks, then they would have been on my case. But they gave me my breathing space.
They gave you space.
And then when I made that decision on my own, I went back to my grandparents and Mum. Then I said, I'm going back to school. And then I seen Uncle John Stanley, and he was the liaison officer at Mergen High School at that time. And I just said, he paid me a couple of visits in that 3 weeks too, and I think he was another one who was really worried that I wouldn't finish. And then when I had all that support around me, and then I made my choice to go back to school, and I said, now I'm going back to school. So they just said, fine, you know. And then I graduated, and like Mum was away on work, and she couldn't make my graduation. Nan was a bit sick at the time, so she said, just take Pop. So I took Pop, and I thought that was a very, very special moment for he and I.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And uni, you were saying earlier that uni you got a lot of, because you did go to university.
Yeah.
You got a lot. You're glad you went.
Yeah, out of Charles Sturt and out of Curtin University as well. You know, doing management, business management, and also doing broadcasting and journalism. With Bachelor College up in the Catherine Darwin area. They've now changed that into a university of some sort, but it was only a college at the time, so I did get a bachelor degree, you know, for this line of work here, broadcasting and journalism. And those sorts of education areas, that has instilled in me, and that has taught me basic life skills, budgeting, how to manage different things on a daily basis. Another area that I'm very compassionate about as well at the same time is the social and emotional well-being area, where if you don't sit right within, you don't sit right culturally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and if any of those areas within inside yourself is out of whack, then you're out of balance.
Yep, you got a wobbly wheel.
So it's a lot of knowing yourself too, and what are your inner strengths to allow you to keep powering on, because a lot of looking after your children can be draining, and a lot of especially putting up with behaviours, but also following through with discipline, that can be draining, you know. So
is it fair enough to say, Bron, like initially the discipline can be draining, but if you when you've got a child who learns and behaves, life becomes easy, or certainly much easier than if you get a child because I think every parent loves their child, and if they've got a child who's, off the rails, for the want of another term, it's something that to me causes more stress than if you do right from the day you're born. If you start instilling those behaviours, is that fair to say? Do you think?
That's fair to say, yeah, because the younger they learn, the more it'll be instilled, and the more they will get to know. And because you're leading, you're guiding, you're mentoring, you're teaching. You're the teacher as the parent to teach your child of how to behave and act, not only at home, at school, in the community. And when you're addressing all those sorts of things, especially behaviour with your children, but paying attention to them is another big thing. If you don't pay attention to them, then of course your child is going to be running amok, throwing things around in the house, maybe,
Vying for attention.
Yep.
Whinging,
nagging, yep, all those sorts of things. So they attention seeking. Yeah, but if you ignore it and just follow through with the discipline, or take things away that they really like doing, and you're going to see improvements that way.
At the moment, for our listeners who've just tuned in, we're talking to Bronwyn Murray, lifelong Cherbourg resident, a mum and a carer, and we're talking to Michelle Forster, a positive parenting program presenter, or Triple P as it's known, and a woman who's lived the Triple P story and had great benefits as a result. Is it fair enough, do you think, Michelle, to say that kids actually like discipline?
Kids thrive off discipline. If you've got rules and you follow through with them and you be consistent, as you were saying before, that consistency, and like you were just saying, it is draining and will take a bit of time when you start putting these things in place, especially if you've had a child that's had 7, 8, 9, 10 years of misbehaviours and getting away with these things. When you start putting things into place, they're probably going to get a little bit worse before they get better. Because the child is kind of saying, hey, what's going on? Look out, mum's taking control. I'm in control, not you. Yeah. So
but your story demonstrates, like, you have a great relationship with your son now, and he's happy and you're happy. And I guess that demonstrates that sometimes if you dig a trench and I guess, stick to your guns as such, that life will get easier. Is that fair enough?
It does, and those stress levels will be really high, but sticking to it, I look at it like this: you can give up or stay in this, living in this stress levels of way over your head, and that will continue for your whole life with your children until they grow up and move out, and then they don't have those skills, communication skills, to pass on to their children. Or you can stick with it for a few months, get through that high stress time, which is probably going to be a little bit worse, and then things will calm down and smooth out, and your children will be learning great things from you: communication, how to behave, as you were saying before, Bronwyn, not only in the home but out school, the environment, when they're getting ready to go to work. Even other things too, like going in and talking to bank managers or, job interviews and things like that, and feeling confident to do that as well.
It's building self-esteem and confidence and instilling that in them as well.
And when you got that, you're not looking down those paths of depression or, finding the bottle to, help yourself feel better and things like that.
Feel confident, feel happy. That's what we all want to be, isn't it? Happy? Okay. Well, thank you very, very much for coming in. And we'll be looking at bringing Michelle back again to do either a Triple P for either for parents of teenagers, or for 0 to 12-year-olds. And if you are interested in being part of it, give us a call at PaCE, 4168 2330, 4168 2330, or you can even text me now on 0403 002 306, 0403 002 306. And we do also have parenting tips on our website. So if you put in Cherbourg PaCE or Cherbourg Council, our website will come up there. So thanks very much, Bronwyn.
I'd just like to say that for the parents who have got a lot of time on their hands, and when your child is at school, get involved, because this stuff is going to, is only going to help you to raise your child in your homes, and it's been really good to be a part of.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.